All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into Chongqing, China.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one already,
Oh, yeah.
just from taking a quick look at our sources.
What sources are those?
Well, we've got FlightNHotels.com
Okay.
and also a really in-depth guide to Chongqing.
Cool.
So, we're going way beyond those typical tourist guides, right? We're really trying to get under the skin of this city,
I like it.
especially this mountain city thing.
Ah,
I mean, have you ever heard of a city described like that before?
well, that's the thing about Chongqing. It really is a whole different way of life.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Imagine a city that's grown organically,
Mm-hmm.
around these mountains
Mm-hmm.
with buildings clinging to cliffs and skyscrapers just rising from the hillsides.
Whoa, seriously.
It's a city where nature dictates the rhythm of life.
That's wild.
And the guide uses this striking contrast.
Okay.
They mention these ancient Dazu Rock carvings
Mm-hmm.
set against a futuristic skyline. It's as if Chongqing is constantly pushing these boundaries, between its past and present.
So we're talking about a city that's literally built into the mountains.
Exactly.
I'm already so intrigued.
Yeah, and this mountain city idea,
Yeah.
you know, it comes alive when you see things like Hongya Cave.
Oh, yeah, I've seen pictures of that.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's built right into a cliff face.
It is. It's a testament to how the residents of Chongqing have adapted
Mhm.
and integrated their lives with this dramatic landscape.
So on one hand, we have ancient carvings and then futuristic buildings talk about a culture clash.
Right.
What about the actual experience of visiting Chongqing, though?
Okay, sure.
What are some of the must-sees?
Well, the guide recommends starting with the Dazu Rock Carvings.
Okay.
And these aren't just any old carvings.
Yeah.
We're talking about a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Oh, wow.
Thousands of sculptures.
What?
Buddhist, Taoist, Confucian,
No way.
all blended together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it tells us a lot about Chongqing's historical openness
Yeah.
to these different beliefs and philosophies.
So like a melting pot of religions carved into stone.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so picture yourself walking through Ciqikou Ancient Town.
Oh,
Narrow cobblestone streets. You can smell the scent of tea coming from these traditional tea houses
oh, wow.
and unique handicrafts just waiting to be discovered.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's a step back in time,
Hmm.
offering this glimpse into Chongqing's past.
So we really are getting this sense of old and new.
Yeah,
Like every corner you turn offers something completely different.
exactly. And if you want to experience something truly awe-inspiring,
Okay, hit me.
the guide suggests going to Wulong Karst National Geology Park.
All right.
It's another UNESCO World Heritage Site,
Wow, really?
which really speaks volumes about its significance.
Yeah.
Just imagine gigantic limestone formations,
Okay.
deep sinkholes, these vast caves,
Yeah.
and towering cliffs. They specifically mention these three natural bridges. Okay. A site that must be truly breathtaking.
Yeah.
And also the Wulong Cave.
I've never even heard of that one.
It's described as just enormous and awe-inspiring.
That sounds incredible, like stepping into a different world.
Speaking of different worlds,
Okay.
have you ever thought about experiencing the region from a unique perspective?
How do you mean?
Well, the guide highlights a Yangtze River cruise through the legendary Three Gorges.
Oh, cool.
Imagine yourself just drifting along the river, surrounded by all this lush scenery and breathtaking views of the gorges,
Yeah.
taking in all the historical sights from the water.
That sounds so peaceful.
It does, doesn't it?
You're making me want to book a flight right now.
Well, if you were thinking about booking a trip,
Mhm.
that's where FlightNHotels.com comes in.
Okay. Yeah.
You can think of it as your personal travel assistant,
Okay.
ready to help you plan every detail of your Chongqing adventure.
Right.
And they offer a range of options, too, from budget-friendly to luxury stays, so you can tailor your trip to your preferences.
That's great. I always appreciate it when booking travel online,
Yeah.
when they have reliable customer support.
Oh, for sure.
Like knowing that there's someone there to help if things go wrong, it's crucial.
You're absolutely right. And FlightNHotels.com seems to understand that.
Okay.
They really emphasize their 24/7 customer support,
Mm-hmm.
so it gives you peace of mind throughout your journey.
That's great. Okay, so we've got flights and accommodations sorted.
Right.
But navigating a city built on mountains, I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds like a challenge.
Well, the guide suggests
Yeah.
visiting during spring or autumn for the most pleasant weather.
Okay.
That makes sense when you think about exploring those ancient sites and hiking through those dramatic landscapes.
Yeah, I can imagine the summer heat
Oh,
and the
wow.
winter chill could be pretty intense,
Absolutely.
especially in a mountain city.
Yeah, for sure. As far as transportation within the city goes,
Okay.
Chongqing has a really efficient metro system,
Oh, nice.
which can get you around the main areas easily.
Sweet.
Taxis are readily available too.
Okay, that's good to know.
But if you're planning to explore those attractions outside the city center,
Mm-hmm.
they really suggest hiring a private vehicle.
Okay.
Gives you more flexibility.
Makes sense. Okay, now let's talk about the important stuff, food.
Hi.
Chongqing hot pot.
Oh, yeah.
Is it really as legendary as they say?
It's more than legendary.
Okay.
It's a cultural experience.
Wow.
You can't talk about Chongqing without mentioning the hot pot.
Right, right.
Imagine bubbling cauldrons of fiery broth
Mm-hmm.
with these numbing Sichuan peppercorns.
Oh, yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart.
I can imagine. I've heard they even have chili pepper eating contests there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you ever witnessed one of those?
I haven't personally, but I can only imagine the intensity. The guide also recommends trying jiaomian,
Oh,
which are spicy noodles,
Hmm.
and jiangtuan fish, which is a local specialty.
All right, I've got to try that.
It seems like spice is a key ingredient in Chongqing's culinary scene.
I love it.
Oh.
Okay, final question before we move on.
Okay.
What about the language barrier?
Ah, yes.
I'm guessing English isn't widely spoken?
You're right, and the guide suggests downloading a translation app,
Okay.
especially if you're venturing off the beaten path.
Yeah,
It's a good way to ensure smoother interactions and avoid any misunderstandings.
I can imagine.
Because while Mandarin is the official language,
Right?
locals in Chongqing often speak the Chongqing dialect,
Oh, wow.
which can be pretty challenging to understand, even for other Mandarin speakers.
That's interesting. This has been an incredible glimpse into Chongqing so far.
Yeah.
We've gone from ancient carvings to futuristic skylines,
I know.
peaceful cruises to fiery hot pots,
And everything in between.
and all while navigating these unique challenges and charms of a city built on mountains.
Exactly.
There's still so much more to uncover, though.
Oh, absolutely.
So stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into Chongqing.
I'm excited.
We're back and still digging into this fascinating mountain city. We've talked about history, nature, even that spicy hot pot.
Oh, yeah.
But is there a place where we can see the more modern side of Chongqing?
You know, the guide does mention Jifangbai CBD
Okay.
as a must-see.
All right.
It's the central business district,
Mm-hmm.
and it really symbolizes Chongqing's economic growth and ambition.
So like a symbol of their future.
Exactly.
And what's it like?
Picture towering skyscrapers,
Picture.
high-end shops,
Yeah.
streets just pulsing with that modern city vibe.
So it's like going from ancient history right into a futuristic metropolis.
Mm.
Quite a contrast, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. And it just goes to show how Chongqing embraces both its heritage and its future.
Mm-hmm.
They're not afraid to push boundaries.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, what about the Chongqing Zoo?
Oh, yeah.
I'm picturing those adorable pandas munching on bamboo.
You are on the right track.
Okay, good.
The zoo is a big draw,
Mm-hmm.
especially for families.
Right.
And yes, pandas are a highlight,
Yeah.
but there's so much more to it.
Like what?
Think diverse animal collections and beautifully landscaped gardens.
Wow.
So they've got that perfect blend of entertainment and education.
It's amazing how Chongqing keeps finding ways to connect nature with the city.
It really is.
I mean, how does living in a city like this, a mountain city,
Right.
affect people's daily routines?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Does the guide say anything about that?
It's easy to just focus on what the city looks like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's way more interesting to think about how all this geography impacts the people,
Right.
how it shapes them.
So we've talked about logistics, but what about interacting with the locals?
Oh,
What's that like?
Well, the guide actually talks about that,
Okay, cool.
and they really emphasize the warmth and hospitality of the people.
So they're welcoming.
Very much so. They're known for their resilience and strong sense of community.
Interesting.
They also mention that even with the language barrier,
Right.
just smiling and making an effort to communicate goes a long way.
Makes you feel better about traveling there.
For sure.
Like, even if you don't speak the language,
Mhm.
there's still that willingness to connect.
And that's the beautiful thing about travel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about stepping outside your comfort zone,
Absolutely.
embracing the unfamiliar,
For sure.
and letting yourself be surprised.
Okay, so we've got ancient history,
Hmm.
modern architecture, amazing food, and welcoming people.
It's quite the city.
What about those hidden gems that aren't on the typical tourist radar?
Oh, There are a few.
Okay, I'm listening.
The guide highlights all the tea houses.
Oh, interesting.
You know, tea culture is really ingrained in their history.
Yeah.
And these tea houses offer a way to experience that tradition firsthand.
So you can just sit and relax,
Yeah.
watch the world go by.
Exactly.
That sounds like a perfect way to unwind after a long day,
Right.
especially after hiking those mountain trails.
Oh, yeah, the guide also mentions those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently there are trails that go through the mountains,
Cool.
and they offer these amazing views.
So they've got everything.
It seems that way.
Ancient history, modern marvels, bustling city life,
Mm-hmm.
peaceful retreats,
Yeah.
outdoor adventures.
It really is like a microcosm of China, isn't it?
That's a great way to put it.
Chongqing seems to have it all.
I know, I'm definitely inspired to book that trip.
Me too.
But before I do, I'm curious, what are your overall impressions?
You know, what really strikes me
Yeah.
is that Chongqing defies easy categorization.
How do you mean?
It's not just a historic city. It's not just a modern city.
Right.
And it's not just about nature.
Yeah, it's all of this.
It's this fusion of everything, all existing in this perfect harmony.
It's that unpredictable energy.
That makes it so interesting.
And that's what our listeners should take away.
Yeah.
Chongqing isn't just a destination, it's an experience.
Right.
A journey of discovery.
Before we wrap up, one more question.
Okay.
We talked about the pandas and the hot pot.
Yeah.
But what about the nightlife?
Oh, Chongqing comes alive at night.
Really?
Think bustling night markets,
Okay.
street food vendors,
Hmm.
rooftop bars with panoramic views,
Cool.
and clubs just pulsing with energy.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah, the nightlife really reflects their culture. It's like this melting pot of influences and traditions.
Chongqing really does seem to have something for everyone.
It does.
All right. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
So let's take a moment to recap everything before we finish up this deep dive. All right. So we're back for the final part of our Chongqing deep dive.
It's flown by, hasn't it?
It really has, but we've covered so much.
Yeah.
From ancient carvings to spicy hot pot and everything in between. Oh yeah, we've really gotten to know this mountain city, haven't we?
We have. So before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what we've learned about this incredible place.
Okay, sounds good.
We started by talking about Chongqing's unique geography, right? This city built into the mountains.
Right, that whole mountain city concept.
Exactly.
Which isn't just about how it looks, is it?
No, not at all.
It affects every aspect of life there.
From their architecture and transportation to their culture and even their cuisine.
Yeah, it's really woven into everything.
Then we talked about the city's rich history, starting with those Dazu Rock Carvings.
Ah, yes. Thousands of years old.
And they tell us so much about Chongqing's openness to different beliefs.
Yeah, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism all mixed together.
It's incredible. And then there's Ciqikou Ancient Town.
Such a charming place.
It really gives you a feel for what Chongqing was like in the past.
It's like taking a step back in time.
And of course, we can't forget those natural wonders.
The Wulong Karst National Geology Park. That was mind-blowing.
With those limestone formations and caves, it's another world.
It really is.
And then there's that peaceful Yangtze River cruise through the Three Gorges.
That sounds incredible.
And the food.
Oh, the food.
We have to talk about the food again.
That hot pot. So spicy.
It's not just a meal, it's an experience.
It really is. And it's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. But then we also learned about the people, the locals.
So warm and welcoming.
And they really value community and resilience.
Which is so important, especially in a city with so many challenges.
Exactly. And we also talked about some hidden gems.
The tea houses.
Yeah, those peaceful retreats.
And the hiking trails with those breathtaking views.
So with all that said, what's the one thing you'll remember about Chongqing?
I think for me, it's the fact that it's so hard to define.
What do you mean?
It's not just one thing. It's ancient but modern. It's a busy city, but also surrounded by nature.
It's a city of contrasts.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
And I hope that's what our listeners take away from this.
It's a place that will challenge your perceptions.
Yeah, because it's more than just a destination.
Right. It's an
A
experience.
journey of discovery.
Well said. And if any of our listeners are inspired to take that journey, FlightNHotels.com can help make it happen.
They really make planning a trip easy.
So whether you're interested in history, architecture, nature, or just the thrill of a vibrant city,
Chongqing has something for everyone.
this mountain city is a microcosm of China.
It truly reflects the country's past, present, and future.
And maybe Just maybe a trip to Chongqing might even change your perspective on things.
That's the power of travel, isn't it?
It really is. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
I can't believe it's over already.
I know, but it's been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
And we want to thank all our listeners for joining us.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.